don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
The last question comes from Donna. Donna is writing from Maine, Skowhegan, Maine. She writes, I'm in the process of replacing my flooring in the mudroom and kitchen. I love color and I want colored flooring as I live in a Victorian home with all wood flooring, and there's lots of wood in the kitchen, wainscotting and cabinets in the laundry room. The only colored flooring I've found is marmoleum, and the store told me it's prone to scratching. I love the colors. I don't want tile or wood flooring. Any ideas for what I should consider? Thank you so much. All right, so let's look at pictures of this beautiful Victorian, because just by mentioning the word Victorian, you've got me salivating. I'm sad to hear that the marmoleum scratches easily. Now, I don't necessarily specialize in flooring because I don't handle that many renovations. Typically, I'm working with what is there in the space. Looking at this, I'd be questioning why you don't want to do tile. For me, tile would be the natural texture to use because you do have so much wood, from the chair rail and wainscoting to the doors, and then the cabinets, of course, as you mentioned. So right now you're really overdoing it on the wood. I'm also very hesitant to advise on color because I think a colorful floor competes with this beautiful, expensive, amazing looking maroon or burgundy stove oven. It's really compelling. Now you have black countertops and a black backsplash. I do think it's kind of a miss on the backsplash that it just appears to be the same material as the countertop, which doesn't appear to have much character or personality. It just looks to be pretty flat and black. I really want you to do a neutral tile. That's what I'm feeling in my bones, and I just wonder why you're not open to that. Maybe it's because you don't want to remove baseboards, but even then, like with the linoleum, which I think, oh, I also want to protect your resale value. Now, you're not telling me that you want to sell this anytime soon, but flooring is something that doesn't tend to go out of fashion, that would really improve your resale. I just don't understand your resistance to the tile. So I would consider that again. But in terms of other flooring that's not tile, that's not carpeting, that's not hardwood, that's not kind of some manufactured laminate, I don't have a lot of experience laying down linoleum or marmoleum. I mean, frankly, I grew up with linoleum and I just hated it in the kitchen. I just remember that the grease kind of seemed to stick in more of a filmy way on the linoleum than when we moved to our next house and had a tile floor. These are just things to think about. So I hate to not be able to give you a more concrete answer, Donna. Get it? Concrete? That's another texture you could use, but it does not fit the Victorian vibe. But I'd want to know more about why tile is out. If it's just a personal preference, I would tell you to get over it. And if it's some kind of logistical or pricing preference, then I'd want you to evaluate, maybe even with a real estate agent. Sometimes when I'm making these types of changes, I know it's going to be expensive. I know I'm not going to want to do it again for another 10 to 15 years, and I might be selling in that time. I'll contact a real estate agent and say, what textures, what materials would be good for resale and what would not be good? Because you don't want to make a choice that is going to be worse off for your home in terms of investment value. All right, Donna, sometimes it's not all about design. Sometimes it's about thinking what is going to appeal to most people, what's going to elevate my home in the long run while maintaining the integrity of the architecture that's already there. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.